And a good Wednesday morning, Quad Cities. It is Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. The time right now is 9 o'clock, and it is time for a brand new episode of Ask Andrew Live. I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzke.
I'm weather anchor Peter Warner. Happy Wednesday.
Yeah, halfway through the week, and for once in Ask Andrew Live where we don't have to track severe weather.
Oh God, it's felt like forever, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's been about, what, a month straight of kind of breaking down severe weather, it feels
Yes, there's been a lot going on. So we're getting a nice break from that active pattern. That doesn't mean there's a shortage of things to talk about.
No.
There's always something to talk about weather-wise, and we have a lot to get to this morning. We'll go over, of course, our Ask Andrew question we had earlier today. I do want to recap Mondays as well because there were some interesting wind statistics with that.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
That was a cool graphic to put together.
Yeah, we love the folks at the Iowa Environmental Mesonet. It's a data clearinghouse, and you'll see some of the data we were able to pull from that. It's pretty impressive. So if this is your first time, welcome aboard. We do this nearly every Wednesday, 9 o'clock, right here on the 8 Plus app. And we got some news yesterday from Station Management about the 8 Plus app. Mm-hmm. If you have a newer Samsung TV,
yes,
like 2023 or newer, I think there's a possibility the 8 Plus app may be available on your TV right now for download.
Yes.
So run to that Samsung App Store if you can. And if you have a TV that's a little bit older than that, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's in the final stages of being worked on. And we also have more platforms on the way too. So don't give up on that quite yet. Yes. We're going to be eventually getting there. So it is in the works. More platforms coming soon, and we are excited for that.
Yes, it's going to be great.
Very, very excited. So we'll jump right in. Our question from this morning, and actually, let's start with the showers first. We'll do that first.
Yeah.
Then we'll get to the question that we had. So if you're new, 309-304-0888 is the number you want to send a text message to. That's where we're going to get your question. Easiest way to do it. It's a free text message unless you have that old plan that you still got to pay for text messages. Honestly, I don't know too many people that have that anymore.
No.
But yeah, you want to text us your question. That gets it to our amazing digital director, Alec, and then they send it to us right here in the studio. So we'll be able to answer it live. Again, reminder, keep it weather related only. Don't make it weird.
Don't make it weird.
We want to keep it
we don't
weather
want to deal
related.
with that.
Exactly. So let's get started with what's going on here today really quickly. Just a quick little weather synopsis. We haven't had any showers in the Quad Cities yet. But if you're south of us, say Burlington to Roseville to Monmouth to Galesburg, that's where we've seen a couple of these light showers. And this was expected. There's an area of low pressure that's moving through. Nothing overly strong about it. In fact, we haven't even seen any lightning strikes out of any of these heavier showers. And you can see there's a few more that extend into southeast Iowa. So if you're south of the Quad Cities, you're getting a little wet this morning. If you're not, if you're north, well, there's where you could see more dry skies. But even then, look at Waterloo, a couple sprinkles headed in that direction.
Yeah, that's quick little moving showers too off this low.
Yeah.
Not expecting a lot, nothing crazy.
Exactly.
And thank goodness, no more severe weather this week.
Yeah, no impacts really from this system at all. There's another one fast on its heels that's going to come in here tomorrow, currently moving through parts of Montana. That's going to bring another round of showers. But I think the bigger news in this whole pattern is that we're not only lacking the severe weather, but we're also going to be getting back into the warmth because we're going to be close to 60 today, 60 tomorrow. A little kind of backdoor cold front for Friday. We call it that because you get winds out of the northeast coming in that opposite direction. Usually it's northwest wind that cools us down. But that goes away for the weekend, which I am so excited for. Saturday and Sunday, both going to have some sunshine, both going to have those temperatures, the 60s and the 70s.
It's going to be beautiful.
Ah, gosh.
Weekend.
I have a feeling those lawnmowers are going to be humming like crazy.
Oh yeah, the grass
this
is
weekend.
Growing.
The
lot more
grass
green
is
out
growing.
there.
We got
green
a lot.
out is days away too.
Yeah, it's really greening up quickly. Speaking of warmth, this young man standing next to me is really going to be jumping up into some warmth because you're taking a little trip back home this weekend.
Yeah, Friday, my cousin is getting married back in Phoenix. I'm going to her wedding, and you think this weekend's warm here. Let's take a look at the Friday temperature in Phoenix, Arizona. There's Thursday, 101. Let's jump ahead. Yeah, and the wedding starts at 5 p.m., and I am 99.9% sure, Andrew, it's outdoors.
Is it an outdoor wedding?
It's outdoor.
Oh, my word.
104 degrees at 5 p.m. on Friday. I always joke about I miss Phoenix temperatures, but maybe not as much when you're wearing a suit and tie outside.
Oh my goodness! And
So.
and you're a native, native from Phoenix.
Yes.
Is this early?
This is a little bit earlier, give or take late April. Typically, we see our first 100-degree mark. I don't think we've hit it this year unless we hit it earlier this week. It's not record-setting. We've seen it in, I think, late March. We've seen 100-degree temperatures before. But yeah, this is still a little bit earlier than normal, and it's a big warm stretch. This whole week, they're pretty much right around that 100-degree mark through the whole week. And yeah, once you kind of get started on them, they kind of don't like to go away. That's
just
one
keep
thing
coming.
too. I mean, I remember over the summer they were, I think 100 plus or 90 plus. What was it? I think 111, 112 days in a row.
Yeah.
They were 90 to 100 degrees, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys do it. I know it's a dry heat.
It's a dry.
It's not humid like it is here with the corn sweat and everything, but still 104 degrees.
104 degrees
in April.
Early-ish April.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. You get used to it, though. You're acclimated.
Gosh, I guess so. So best of luck to you. Safe travels as you head back this weekend.
It'll be fun. It'll be nice. A little 24-hour trip.
Like you said, you might have to do some dry cleaning.
Yeah, I literally got my suit dry cleaned for this. I think I'm probably going to have to take it right back there after.
Yeah.
That's hot.
It's going to be a little hot. Hopefully they got some air conditioning for you. And that's exactly what the hope is for that venue anyway, because, yeah, you see definitely 100 there to the southwest. So you're actually going to bring some of that warmth back with you, though.
That's true.
As we get to Sunday.
Goal. Yeah. That's my goal.
You're gonna
Not that warm, though.
No, we're not going to be heading to the hundreds or anything like that. Could you imagine 100 degrees in the Quad Cities in April?
No way.
I wouldn't even want to think what the rest of the summer would have to offer. So, yeah, a little warmer this weekend. We're talking about temperatures getting back to the 60s and 70s, and then we'll get a little bit of a cool down, as you saw, next week. Now, this week, we've really taken a break from any significant rainfall. Are we worried about that? Not really. We have to remember the time of year. This is April. The sun is not sucking a whole bunch of water out of evaporation out of the ground just yet. We don't maximize that until the end of May, all the way through early August. So if we get a dry stretch of weather here and there this time of the year, it's not a huge deal. We got a nice soaking rain last week, and if you're curious what that looks like numbers-wise, these are your departures from normal, and I'm giving you since the first of the year, which is the first box, since the first day of spring, meteorological spring, which is March 1st, and then also since the first day in April. So you can see, in the short term, we're okay. We have a surplus there.
Yes.
If you look at the long term, yeah, there's a little bit of a deficit, but it's not huge. It's less than 2 inches. And honestly, this time of year, you can make up that deficit.
I was going to say, that's maybe a 1.5 day rainfall event, which is very possible this time of year to see kind of one of those major events. I mean, we saw about, an inch almost a week ago. So
just about.
It can go away like that. And the good news is the drought outlook is looking much better, and it's trending to be much better. They have a forecast for that. No, you and I were looking at this, I think late last week or earlier this week. They forecast most of the drought to likely be pretty much alleviated by the end of the month.
Big improvement expected on that. And I was asking Peter about this too. Look at the difference between just going to either side of the river. And the distance between Moline and Davenport is not huge. They're just opposite of each other. But isn't it amazing how, especially when you look at the deficit and the surplus between the first two set of boxes, look at the difference on that.
It's crazy.
I mean, when you talk about a localized impact of rainfall, you got healthy surplus on the Iowa side. Illinois side still needs a little bit of rain, but again, not a dire situation.
Not a dire situation
by any
at
means.
all. But yeah, I've noticed that even because I live on the Iowa side of the river. That's where my apartment is. I'll wake up and I see puddles all over the apartment complex. I get over here. There's puddles,
and
but
there's not much.
Not really much at all.
Yeah.
I mean, from some of these big rain events we've had, big differences we're seeing.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's what rainfall does. It's a very localized element, just like snowfall. Let's review our question from this morning, and then we'll take your questions as well. So this was a good one. This is one that we actually had from an Ask Andrew Live either last week or the week before when we were talking about severe weather. One of you had asked, why does hail form into different shapes? We already talked about size. That has to deal with the strength of the updraft wind in the storm. But what about the shape? Because if you've been here long enough, you've seen different shape size hail. Some are flat like pancakes, and some are more perfectly round with some little clumps on them. So breaking this down, how hail forms, what I'm going to show you is that process. So we're going to start with the water droplet, and that is what's kind of in that turquoise color. Once this stops, I'll get my pointer on there. There it is. So right here, of course, water form. What this line represents is anything above that is below freezing. If it's below it, it's above freezing. So this is the powerful updraft. This is that surge of warm, humid air fueling the storm. And what happens is that water droplet gets up into that updraft, hits that water or that air temperature below freezing, and it goes in a circle like this. So here we go from water to ice, and it circles around, and the ice gets bigger. And it can repeat this process multiple times, by the way. It all depends on the size of the storm, the structure, and the intensity of the updraft. But eventually you get severe hail after looping a few times right here, which is what the red dot represents. And then, of course, you know what happens with that. It gets so big and so heavy, gravity takes over.
Gravity takes over.
And it's got to fall to the ground. No matter how strong the winds are here, it just becomes too large to be suspended up in the clouds, so it's got to fall. But why do we get these weird shapes? Well, if you see a hailstone that's kind of more circular, more like a sphere, that's a wet growth process, and that means that air bubbles within that water droplet or that ball of water, they're able to escape a lot more easily, and it gives hail a more smoother, rounder shape. But if you notice that it's a very jagged edge type of hail, or it's not very smooth, that's what we call a dry growth process. And that dry growth, the difference is it forms in a really, really, really cold air mass located within that cloud. And what happens is that hailstone becomes less adhesive to water droplets. What you're doing is you're actually adhering other smaller hailstones through collisions.
Interesting.
Yes. You're more likely to see the dry growth process in the spring and also in the late fall, whereas that wet growth process takes over during the summer months. You think about how much moisture we have, and also the availability of cold air above the ground. Obviously, we're going to have more of that in the early spring and in the early fall, late fall versus the summer. So that's why we have those different types of sizes and structures to hailstones. If you're curious, the amount of wind, the updraft speed needed to create the larger hail, for tennis ball hail, size hail, you need about 44 to 72 mile an hour winds going into the storm. And then for softball hail, you need 100 plus mile an hour winds, sucking all that warmth up into the storm.
Oh boy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's a lot.
That is how violent and turbulent the inside of these storms are.
Crazy.
Really just blows your mind. So there's a reminder of the different categories of hail. Again, National Weather Service does not issue severe thunderstorm warnings until we meet the quarter size threshold. That is the size of hail, quarter size and larger, that will produce damage to cars, to your roof, to siding, things like that. Anything smaller than that typically doesn't produce damage. One more thing before we get to your questions. We've had a lot of you say, what is going on with all this wind?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's been all over the place.
It has been. I feel like every day we've had some kind of wind going on. So thanks to the Iowa Environmental Mesonet, which is what I talked about earlier, they're kind of a clearinghouse for data, not just for Iowa, but for many weather stations across the United States. So what we looked up here is the average wind gust from the 1st of this year through the 6th of April, which was earlier this week. And what did we find? So if you look at the data there and you rank it, this has technically been the second gustiest start to the year on record for the Quad Cities. We're currently in second place. If you round that, it's 30 even. And you see 1976 is not far ahead at 30.
I was going to say, barely is at what point? Trying to do quick math here. 2.4.
Yeah.
0.24 miles an hour, quarter mile an hour.
It's not much difference.
No.
It really is not. And the 30-year wind average, by the way, is that black line. So you can see we're well above that. So keep in mind with this, though, this is wind gusts. We cannot say that this has been the windiest or second windiest year on the Quad Cities. This is the top 10 list for that. And you notice 2025 and nothing 2000, by the way, in that century is anywhere on that list.
No. Much calmer, gustiest.
Yes. So the gustiest.
Yes, lots of temperature changes and pressure gradient issues that have caused that. Not as much of a sustained wind.
Exactly. And that's what we have seen. And those gusts have been impressive. I can't remember how many, there's been a handful that have been 50 plus in the last few months, but there's been more than a handful that have been 40 plus.
Oh yes, plenty of 40 pluses.
Yep, and that's why that gust number is so high.
A decent, I should look this up, but a large number of wind advisories I feel like we've seen.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It almost felt weekly at one point.
It did. Every week it felt like we had to talk about a wind advisory. Every storm that came in.
Yes, every storm wind was the highest damage that we were expecting.
Yeah. So incredible. You're not going crazy.
No.
It's definitely been windier, gustier than normal. So wanted to show you the data on that because it was fascinating.
It is. It's so interesting.
And kudos to Chris at WOI.
Yes, he was the one that gave us the idea.
Yes, he found the data, and I said, you know what, we're going to look at the Quad Cities, and sure enough, second place.
Second place. They were #1 in Des Moines for the gustiest,
Yeah.
I believe, March ever.
And I think they've had at least 2 or 3 high wind warnings out there that I can remember.
3, maybe actually 4, because embedded within those blizzard warnings, there's been a high wind warning. So there's been at least 2 of those, plus I think 2 maybe at least other days with a high wind warning throughout central Iowa. So yeah, 4.
It's been a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of high wind warnings.
Yeah. And hence why a lot of people were burning yesterday when there was no wind. Everybody had to hold back for several weeks, and they're just now finally getting to it. So that's why. Other than that, that's all I have to talk about in terms of the weather scenario and what we talked about in Ask Andrew this morning. So now we open it up to your questions. We have plenty of time to answer those. Again, keep them weather related. I think we had somebody in here looking for Craig, I believe.
I mean, can we start planting seeds for our garden yet? I mean, we can. That's probably a better question for Craig.
Yes.
But when it comes to climate-wise, I would say we're starting to trend in the right direction.
We're almost there. Craig is going to tell you likely Mother's Day. It depends on what kind of plant you're talking about. So come back for GMQC at 11, because that's when we'll have Craig Ignite on.
Yes.
He's usually on right after 11:30ish.
As I say, 11:35-ish, 11:40, sometime in that time frame.
He'll be able to give you a better answer than I can, because I am definitely not a plant expert.
No. I like plants, but I'm not a great gardener.
I'm not either.
Oh, goodness. Billy. Hey, Billy, how are you? Good. Ooh, goodness, that was a clap. Good morning. My question is, what is the strongest tornado produced in a hurricane?
Strongest tornado produced in a hurricane?
So I would assume it would be in Florida or somewhere on the Gulf Coast.
I think you're right about that.
I think it would be Florida. I know within some of these, even last year, some of those hurricanes we saw, there are some pretty good spin-ups that popped up. I think maybe an EF2, maybe an EF3. Be a good question, but I would assume probably an EF3, based with my guess, just because they're so quick moving. I don't think there's as much, supercell almost potential in a way with those, because they come in those waves within those rings in the hurricane.
Yes.
So I think an EF2 is usually likely with like those category 3 to 4 to 5 hurricanes usually can get EF2 tornadoes within Florida and portions of Georgia and Carolinas as well.
I'm going to agree with you in that you're not going to get like an EF4 or an EF5 tornado out of a hurricane, because a hurricane is a warm core system. It's not a cold core system like what we experience here and what we call the mid-latitudes or throughout the United States here. So you're not working with the same set of dynamics. You're not working with the same amount of storm energy.
That's true too.
Which would be needed to really get things cooking and getting a stronger tornado. So I'm with you. I'm willing to bet, just doing a simple Google search didn't give me too much. But I'm trying to remember from past history and other storms that I've watched. I want to say you're most likely right about Florida in an EF2 or an EF3.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
We can work on some more and digging in to get you an exact answer, but yeah, for sure, I know that there have been, no EF5s or anything like that associated with a hurricane.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, just don't have the right dynamics for that. That's a great question.
That is a great question. Billy always has good ones.
Yeah, I'm going to save that actually for hurricane season, because that's a good Ask Andrew we can do for hurricane season. I'm going to jot that down.
Coming up.
Yes.
Some of those forecasts just came out too. That could be some fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, maybe we'll look into that. I can maybe do some hurricane stuff for you guys next week.
Yes.
Maybe I'll plan on that. Marcus from Knoxville.
Who could that be?
Does rain have a smell? And if so, what causes it?
It does, yes. It does produce a certain smell, because rain releases a whole bunch of chemicals, and we also know that lightning produces chemicals like nitrogen combining with oxygen. So yes, rain always does have a distinct smell. And honestly, I think for most folks, it's probably one of the more pleasant smells we enjoy
one of my favorites.
Most of the year. Yeah, you get that nice cool breeze coming in, and then all of a sudden the rain smell. And it's like, it's kind of one of the cleanest smells.
It's one of the best, especially when it's like in a foresty area.
Yes.
Like I remember growing up from Phoenix, I'd like go on a vacation in the summer, and I would go to the Midwest or West Virginia or some portion of that part of the country, and you'd walk out and you just get that first smell, and you're like,
It's so
It's
good.
green here.
I have yet to find any, manufacturer that can bottle that up in a detergent or a soap that can make it smell like that. They come darn close, but nothing perfected. But yeah, it's all due to the chemicals being released by the water, the different particles in the clouds coming down. Big chemical interaction there.
Great question.
What a good question, Marcus. Good job.
We've had some good questions so far.
Yeah.
And I think we got another one from Lindsay. Are we 100% done with the snow? Is it going to be cold again at all?
I think, outside of we talked about a freak system, and I'm talking about a big freak system.
Yes.
We are likely going to be done with the snow.
Likely going to be done.
Yes. We're getting, especially now we're 9 days into April, and the amount of time that the system has to generate enough cold air, really beginning that window is shrinking substantially. So I'm not going to say we're 100% done with snow, but I would say the potential is greater than 50% that we're done with snow.
Yes, I've been saying likely. So I did a little bit portion my forecast this week on that. And I mean, if you look at the temperature outlook, 6 to 10 days, warmer than normal, most likely. Next 8 to 14 days, warmer than normal, most likely.
Yes.
Then once you get to those last, 7 days of April, that's when it's your average temperature jumps from mid to low 50s to start the month to the 60s.
Way into the 60s.
Way into the 60s. So you compare that. I mean, you'd have to have a much more significant departure from normal. The sun angle gets a little bit higher by the end of the month too.
And even if it does snow, it's literally going to last hours.
Yeah.
That's it. The ground is already thawed out. It's warmed up. The snow doesn't stand a chance staying on the ground too long this time of year.
No.
Which is why I'm not mad if it snows.
Be kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's a quick one, a pretty one.
Exactly. And it's here today, gone tomorrow.
Yes.
It's my kind of snow.
Some sparkle sprinkles.
Yeah, there you go.
An Ask Andrew classic. The sparkle sprinkles.
The sparkle sprinkles, yes. I should trademark that.
I know. You should. Tyler's wondering, when it comes to hail, what is the largest size recorded?
Oh, the largest hailstone. Okay.
I'm going to guess.
I'm going to guess it's in Kansas.
In Kansas?
Oh, I was wrong.
Yes, Nebraska.
It's not Kansas.
No, close. Neither of us.
Nope.
Further north.
South Dakota.
South Dakota.
8 inches in diameter. South Dakota, 8 inches in diameter. That was in 2010, weighing almost 2 pounds.
That's like a size 3 soccer ball.
Okay, so yeah, you're 8 inches in diameter. Okay, let's get our little ruler out here. So here's 8 inches here to here. This is 8 inches in diameter between my 2 fingers here. Can you see that? I know it's hard to see.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll put my hand up maybe here for perspective.
That's huge. So yeah, what is that?
That goes that's like a size, okay, this sounds really weird. I grew up playing club soccer. So it's a size 3 soccer ball. So that's like the ones that, the younger age group.
Oh, the mini ones.
Yeah,
The
not
like
the mini ones, but
Yeah.
It's like your 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old size soccer ball.
Oh my word.
That's about, I would say, give or take.
That's huge. That is absolutely huge. Yes. Yeah, Vivian, South Dakota, July 23rd, 2010. Almost 2 pounds, 8 inches.
Wow.
18 inches of circumference. Oh my word.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is.
That's going to just, that now, that's going to put a hole in your roof.
I was going to say, that's a hole in your windshield.
You're not going to have a car left after that.
Oh, impressive.
Dang.
Impressive. Wow. That was a great question,
That is a good question.
All of them have been fantastic
Very
today.
good question.
Is this a bad year for tornadoes so far? Josh in Rock Island was wondering.
It is definitely a bad year for tornadoes so far. And actually, I might put our director, Brandy, on the spot because I don't have the ability to share my screen on the air with you, but we might be able to step away for a second and maybe zoom into that center TV that's behind me. Give me a second and I'm going to load it up here. And I'll show you here because the graph that you can get from the Storm Prediction Center's website, this one right here in particular, is what I'm going to try to show here. So Brandy, let me know in my ear if that's possible, if we can zoom in 3, and maybe we can show that on the TV behind me. So I'm going to drag this over. Give me 1 second, and we're going to kind of do this on the fly here.
It's going to be fun. Yes, let me get out of your guys' way.
We're going to utilize our fancy camera work here. And maybe we'll jump up here for a second. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, look at this.
Fun.
This is the beauty of the A+ app is we can do all of these crazy things on the fly here. Perfect. So what you're going to see on this here is the tornado tally year to date so far. And you can see right now for 2025, we have 492 tornado reports.
Wow.
So these are not confirmed tornadoes. These are tornado reports. But still, when you weed all of these out, you're going to get a similar number. Last year at this time, at this exact same time, we had 266. And 2023, which was a very busy year.
That was an active year.
That's where we had the Kelowna tornado, we had the Rock Island tornado, the 2 Geneseo tornadoes. We were up to 530. So this year is very similar to 2023, 530 versus 492. 2022 was another busy one, 467 tornadoes. So honestly, it's probably one of the busier ones since 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Not counting last year. Or not last year, but not counting 2023, 2022. It's busy.
And if you look at 2012, which is one of the comparisons you drew before the season, we're actually pretty similar to that season as well. Because I remember before severe season started, you were talking about maybe a comparison to 2012 for what we're going to see for our tornadoes this year. And that's actually looking somewhat accurate so far.
Yeah, it's pretty spot on. And I'll scroll this graph down just a little bit more here so you can see, just to compare where we're at. Because what this is nice is it's going to show you, this is the mean. So combining several years, the average, if you will, this is kind of where we should be right now, is right here.
And that's at 269.
Yeah. And look at the red line where we're at right now. And then these lines here that you're seeing at the top, these are the other years that we just mentioned and kind of the top of that list. So you can see, obviously, we're not at some of these other more higher years, but we're darn near close to maybe the top 2, maybe the top 3 severe weather producing years so far, based on the red line where we're at here. There's not many lines above it.
No. Now I'm curious. I wonder what the final totals were for the years that are similar to us so far.
That's a great question.
Is that the year total next to it? If we can scroll up a little bit
right here?
Yeah.
So this is year to date.
Year to date, okay. Yeah. But I'm saying the year total on the right.
Oh, this right here?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I wonder what
so scroll back up on that list.
Scroll that back up a little bit, because that'd be interesting. Oops, sorry, I forget we're still scrolled in. We're still zoomed in. Jump scare. Director Brandy just said, oh my goodness.
So yeah, there's the year, there's the mean. That's what you were just asking about. And you were saying what year,
like
2011?
Similar years, 2012, or similar years where we've seen this many so far. So yeah, over 1,000.
Yep.
Okay.
There's 2023, 1,400 tornado reports. And then 2024 at 1,900.
Wow.
So, we're not halfway through the year yet. We're not, I wouldn't even say we're halfway through the bulk of the biggest severe weather season, if you will, of the year yet. And we're almost halfway to some of those years that you were mentioning in terms of the total count.
It's been a crazy start.
Yeah.
And last week really helped put a little bit of a notch in that too.
Yeah, it's interesting when this is not by any means going to be a smooth line. This is a line that tends to jump during these outbreaks. So, and you're going to notice typically in April, especially in May, that line really starts to shoot up.
Yes.
Busy months for us.
Busy months for us, and yeah, it's been a busy month so far for our friends down south.
Very busy. Arkansas, Tennessee,
Dixie Valley area.
Yeah, very, very busy. And isn't it an interesting correlation too that's where the bulk of the action has been, and that's where the bulk of the winter action was for snowstorms and all the rain. All of that was to the south of us, and now here we are, severe weather season essentially, and it's still there.
It's still there. Yeah. Jet stream is just not really budging so far.
Not yet.
Yes. That's a good point. Not yet.
We're not going to get let off the hook that easily, that's for sure.
No.
Thank you, Brandy, for that. I appreciate that we're able to zoom that in. Yeah, I love that.
The zoom back out, too, is so smooth.
Mm-hmm. She's awesome.
She's the best. Let's see. Do we have any more? I think that's pretty much it.
Nice.
So far. So right on time.
And we are right on time. It's 29 after.
Yeah.
How about that?
There we go. Perfect.
All right, well, we want to thank you guys for joining us. If at any time you have questions that we didn't get to it this morning, no worries. You go to WQAD.com, hit weather, go to Ask Andrew. There you can submit your question. Or, better yet, join us right back here next week, same time, same place, 9 o'clock on the 8+ app, and we'll answer more of your questions.
It's always fun.
Yeah, we'll see what else Mother Nature has in store next week for us, too. Until then, get your umbrella, dodge those showers today. I'll see you a little bit later on GMQC at 11. Have a great day, Quad Cities.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 8+ app everywhere you stream.